What's going on in Formula One? Hamilton's dream, Ferrari's plan, and Sainz's health. The third Grand Prix of the season in Formula One starts in Australia. The excitement is experienced on beIN Sports. Max Verstappen, the Dutch pilot of the Red Bull team, won the STC Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the second stage of the season in the Formula One World Championship. Verstappen, the champion of the last 3 years, who started the race in the pole position, dominated the race from start to finish and finished in first place with a time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 43.273 seconds. Verstappen, who won the first 2 stages of the season, achieved the 56th race victory of his career. Formula excitement met with the audience on beIN Sports screens. The third race of the season, the Australian Grand Prix, will be held on March 24th. Race fans will follow this excitement on beIN Sports screens. Will Carlos Sainz be able to race in Australia? The Saudi Arabian GP week was quite problematic for Ferrari pilot Carlos Sainz. Sainz, who could not attend the press conference on Wednesday because he felt bad, surprised many people by taking part in the car in both practice sessions on Thursday, despite his illness. Sainz, who went to the hospital on Friday due to his condition worsening, was diagnosed with appendicitis, and it was decided to undergo urgent surgery. Sainz's surgery, which was withdrawn from the weekend, was successful, and we saw him in the paddock only 1 day after his surgery. The Spaniard could walk on his own and followed the Saudi Arabian GP from the Ferrari garage. So, how many weeks will Sainz's recovery process take? Will he be able to make it in time for the Australian Grand Prix to be held on March 22nd, 24? According to the Italian press, the answer to this question is yes, but the final decision will be made during the race week. Teams go to Australia earlier than other races in order to get used to the time difference. Ferrari and Charles Leclerc will also fly to Australia on Saturday, while Sainz is also expected to go to Australia with his teammate. The final decision seems to be made in Australia, but the general opinion is that Sainz can return to his car in Melbourne. Oliver Bearman, who replaced Sainz in Saudi Arabia, will also fly to Australia just in case. Ferrari is trying to keep Bearman ready and recently took the young pilot to the track at Fiorano and organized a test with the 2022 car. Speaking about Sainz's recovery process, team boss Frédéric Vasseur said, "To be honest, I can't say anything definite about Sainz's racing. His recovery process has progressed incredibly so far, and the fact that he came to the track after the surgery and followed the race with us is a good sign." After the race, he flew back to Europe and will be able to rest for a week until Saturday. We will decide Saturday when we have to fly to Melbourne, but I'm quite optimistic that he can race in Australia. Dad Hamilton. Racing for Ferrari was Lewis's childhood dream. Lewis Hamilton's decision to switch to Ferrari in 2025, who has been racing with Mercedes for about 11 years, had a shocking effect in the F1 world because many people expected Hamilton to end his F1 career at Mercedes. Hamilton had signed a new 2-year contract with Mercedes just a few months ago, and it was considered certain that the 7-time champion pilot would stay at Mercedes for at least the next 2 years. But Hamilton signed with Ferrari for 2025, using an exit option in his contract. Hamilton kept this decision very secret. Even his family and Mercedes management did not know about Hamilton's decision until the last moment. Speaking for the first time about Hamilton's surprise transfer, Anthony Hamilton says that racing with Ferrari was among his son's childhood dreams. Father Hamilton said, "Racing for Ferrari was part of my and Lewis's dreams. When you are a kid, you always dream of racing for Ferrari. We also love the teams that Lewis has raced with in the past, such as McLaren and Mercedes, but being behind the wheel of the red car was the biggest dream," said Bearman. "I was able to exit the vehicle with Hamilton's help." One of the names that attracted attention at the 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix was 18-year-old young pilot Oliver Bearman. Bearman, who was called to duty by Ferrari after Carlos Sainz had to undergo emergency surgery due to appendicitis, was appreciated for his performance despite limited training and experience. Bearman, who received a phone call from Ferrari team boss Frédéric Vasseur while preparing for the F2 race on Friday and learned that he would drive the Ferrari F1 car for the rest of the weekend, could only attend the third practice session. The 18-year-old young pilot performed well, first finishing 11th in the standings and then finishing the race in 7th place, and received praise from names such as Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris. Although Behrman performed well, the race was physically demanding, because it was the first time in his life that the young pilot had driven such a fast and powerful vehicle uninterruptedly for such a long time. Completing an F1 Grand Prix for the first time, Behrman had to struggle with G-force throughout the race on one of the fastest tracks on the calendar, and as can be expected, his whole body, especially his neck, was extremely sore. Speaking after the race, the British pilot said that he was able to get out of the car with the help of Lewis Hamilton. At the end of the race, Lewis was literally pulling me out of the car because I was having a hard time getting out of the car, Behrman said. The race really challenged me physically. In a race like this, you're doing almost 50 qualifying laps on one of the tracks where you're subjected to the highest lateral G-forces of the season, said. Here's Ferrari's new plan to overtake Red Bull. Ferrari's 2024 F1 car, the SF24, is a clear improvement compared to last year and has a very solid foundation, as the Italian team seems to have achieved what it set out to do. Drivability is better and tire wear is less. The SF24, which is much easier to drive compared to last year's vehicle, also treats the tires better. One of Ferrari's biggest problems in recent years was that it could not protect its tires as well as its competitors during the race, which negatively affected the race tempo. This year, the tire wear problem seems to have been solved, and we see a stronger and more stable Ferrari at race pace. With the first two races behind us, the Maranello-based team has clearly shown itself to be the second fastest team. The team closest to Red Bull in both single lap and race pace is Ferrari, but Ferrari is of course not a team that will be happy with second place, and the goal is to fight for the leadership with Red Bull. Work has already started for this. The past two races have demonstrated both the SF24's strengths and areas for improvement. SF24 has a solid foundation, and now it's time to add new pieces to it. Speaking after the Jeddah race, team principal Frédéric Vasseur had already confirmed that there were new parts waiting in the wind tunnel. According to the Italian press, the team is preparing an Evo version that takes the concepts already in the SF24 even further, and it is being worked on in the wind tunnel. While some minor updates are expected to be brought to the Japanese GP in April, the new Evo version will be introduced around the Imola race in May, unless there is a major acceleration. With these updates, more aggressive designs will be introduced. With this update package, Ferrari aims to make the SF24 fight for wins.